still so long.
Are you the sound man asking me that? Yeah, for a moment, I think those rare moments during a show when the sound guy or the lighting guy actually stops playing their Atari and they're like a really high score at Tetris and like... And they go, where were we? Yeah, word fatigue. Word fatigue. Classic New Labour psychology, projection and transference. So it was us. In 2003, we had the problem with word fatigue. Okay, us. Okay, not them, us. And yet we know from our own life experience what word fatigue is, right? It's not a phrase I'd use myself, ugly phrase, but I guess I know what they mean, right? Word fatigue, that feeling when the tongue becomes a wooden clapper and a cardboard bell as you hear yourselves reciting a mantra you ain't never believed, no longer believe. I love you. Yes, I'm having a great time, dear. The W, the M, and the D. By way of psychological contrast, the opposite of word fatigue might be the joyful exuberance of at last uttering the truth which has for too long been suppressed might, for example, be the Times headline of July the 20th, 2002. And the Times, by the way, brilliant newspaper. Oh, yeah. Because every now and then it forgets that there are certain things you are not supposed to mention. And it just gets carried away. And the headline on that date was, West sees glittering prizes ahead in giant Iraqi oil fields. Sorry, I was not supposed to mention that. Sorry, it's just so exciting. See, there's these three giants on North Force, Majdu, Narama, West Coast, and the reckon the first were good for 700,000 barrels a day. But okay, mum's the word. So I was saying another thing. 220 billion barrels of chemical weapons, not as good as a week to a blind man. Know what I mean, governor? Just because there is this fashionable taboo among the political class and the corporate news media against mentioning the economic reasons for war don't mean we should obey it. And so I should therefore like to offer you my Eurodollar theory for the war in Iraq. I'm not saying this is the reason for the invasion, I'm saying it's a reason. Clearly part of a nexus of multiple weakly acting causal pathways. That's my new catchphrase. To understand the reasons for the invasion, you've got to go back to a 1971 OPEC meeting at which the Organization of Petroleum Exporting Countries did decree that from this day forth, wheresoever a barrel of oil is bought or sold anywhere in the world, it may only be bought or sold in US dollars. Mexico selling oil to China, US dollars. Holland trading oil futures into Morocco, US dollars, even though the more natural currency for that particular transaction would of course be hashish. This 1971 agreement gives the Federal Reserve a license to print money because everybody has got to buy dollars to buy oil. It's how come the US can be the #1 debtor nation in the world today, and it don't matter. Because since 1971, the US dollar has been a magic checkbook. Imagine you are maxed out way past your overdraft limit at every branch of every bank in the world, have been for the last 34 years, and it didn't matter. Everybody still took your checks, and best of all, they never came back to the bank. A magic checkbook. By way of analogy, the only other example I can think of from real life of an actually existing magic checkbook would be from the last years of the life of Salvador Dali, when he never had to pay for anything, only had to pretend to pay thanks to his magic checkbook. What would happen in his last years, and this is absolutely true, in his final decade, Salvador Dali used to walk into the finest restaurants in Andalusia and Catalonia and sit at a great big long table with all his acolytes, and they'd order all the very finest, most expensive items from the menu. Caviar, quail's eggs, brandy, armagnac, cognac, if indeed those are not all the same thing. Arctic roll. Lobsters, langoustine, champagne, cigars. End of the evening, the owner would say, Signor Dali, the bill.
Signor Dali, your bill.
And Dali would take the bill, 8 billion pesetas, no pressure. He'd get out his magic checkbook. Right, 8 billion pesetas, sign it, date it, but just before he handed the check, back to the owner. He'd flip it over, and on the reverse, Dali used to do a drawing, sign it, and then hand it to the owner.
Senor Dali, you do me a great honor. A signed original from the maestro? I will never cash this check.
I will frame it and mount it here on the wall of my restaurant, and everyone who comes in will know that the great Salvador Dali did. Of course, next morning the restaurateur is on eBay for sale. One signed Salvador Dali original. Well, that's okay too, because those checks are going around the world, never returning to Banco Santander. Imagine, however, as is long overdue incidentally, an influential caucus of art critics led by Brian Sewell and Robert Hughes were to walk into an art gallery one day, walk up to some Salvador Dali paintings, look at them, look at each other and go, Salvador Dali, he's not very good though, is he? Because he's not. Him call himself a surrealist, but he misses the authentic note of dreams every time. Which is that among the rich and strange there must always be the humdrum and the everyday, yes, the dripping watch, yes, the giant egg thing. But between them all, I contend there must always be Bjork, getting off a number 73 bus saying,
Look, Robert, I have found the Prince Buster record you've been looking for. But oh no, the vinyl is made of custard. What shall we do? Quick, we must have sexual intercourse to make it solid again.
After this critical pronunciamento, the value of signed Dali originals collapses on eBay. All across Andalusia and Catalonia, restaurateurs say, I take it down, Dali, 8 billion pesetas. And from all over Spain, all these checks start flocking back to Banco Santander, and Dali don't have funds to cover them because he's spent all the money on giant mechanical herons. So he has to get a job in Britain as a house painter, interior decorator. So Magnolia, you say? You want maybe I get artistic and wraggle a little?
Just now.
Maybe among the Magnolia, I do a goat with an eye of a million, and inside...
Magnolia.
Magnolia. Okay, so what could possibly happen to the magic checkbook of the US dollar to make all those greenbacks flock home to Manhattan and the buck stop there? Well, compañeros, compañeras, it almost happened. On the 30th of October, in the year of our Lord 2000, when a switch was made to a single deposit account in the Wall Street branch of unfortunately named French bank BNP. And this was the UN-administered account through which the Iraqis were selling 2.3 million barrels per day under oil for food. And on October the 30th, the Iraqis said, we would like to switch this from being a dollar-denominated account to a euro-denominated account. And the UN said, well, we can't stop you, but we got to tell you, you are fools to yourselves, because right now the euro ain't worth but 80 cents. You are going to lose money on every barrel you sell. You may bankrupt your entire country within a year. The Iraqis said, we don't care. We'll take the risk. We cannot bear to touch the enemy's currency. Make the switch. And at the end of 2000, the switch is made from dollars to euros. And then what happens? In 2001, the euro gains 25% against the dollar thanks to strong sales of Moon Safari by air. Thus forcing the Iranians to switch their central bank reserve funds from dollars to euros. Axis of Evil member number 2. December 7, 2002, North Korea declares it's going to do all its commodity trading from now on, not just oil, not in dollars, but in euros. Axis of Evil member number 3. And then Hugo Chavez, re-elected president of Venezuela. Chairmanship of OPEC falls to him. Same year, he convenes an OPEC meeting in Spain in April, and on the table is a proposal that every single petroleum exporting country unilaterally switches from dollars to euros. And that is the Federal Reserve's worst nightmare.